We've got a special guest on the line right now. She is a UFC fighter, if you can say that. That's unbelievable. She has a professional record of 13 wins and only 3 losses. She's been fighting since 2007. I'm talking about Miesha Tate. Miesha, are you there with us?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Congratulations. How does it feel to be a member of the UFC?
Well, I can't exactly confirm, but it looks really good. You know, the direction's going that way. You know, women are definitely coming into the UFC, and so with that said, I'm just ecstatic to be a part of it. You know, it's been a long time coming, and I'm stoked. You know, I think we're definitely ready and up for the challenge. I think we've shown that we have more depth, you know, and Victor's done a great job of that. So with everything being said, and, you know, gosh, it's been a chain of events and a turn of tides, that's for sure. You know, Dana has completely done a 360, and it's just crazy that, you know, just even a couple years ago, he was so adamant against women's MMA, and now he seems to be fully on board with it. So I'm stoked.
Well, I agree with you. I'm excited because I'll tell you the truth. I've seen a lot of boring men's fights, but I can't count. I can count on one hand the few number of women's fights that were boring. I just don't see women's fights being boring. So I'm excited about them being in the UFC. My only big concern is Dana White going to bring in enough female fighters for there to be a good pool of fighters? I hope it's not the kind of thing where he's just going to plan a couple of super fights here and there every year, but rather bring in a whole pool of fighters. Do you have any idea behind that at all?
Well, I'm with you. I definitely think, you know, bringing in more is better. I mean, if he's going to do it, he might as well do it big, right? I mean, might as well commit to it and really try to run with it and promote it, and, you know, hopefully everybody can have a lot of success and, you know, make money and live the dream. You know, I think we definitely have reached that pinnacle point in the sport where the women have proved time and time again we deserve it. I mean, it's an entertainment sport, and we do a hell of a job entertaining. We come out there and fight, and we fight hard, and, I mean, we just really lay it all on the line, and I think that's what people enjoy seeing. So I think Dana realizes that, and he wants to bring us into the OC. I think, you know, Lorenzo Fertitta, you know, I've talked to him a little bit. He definitely wants to see women. Sean Shelby, the matchmaker, he loves women's MMA. So, I mean, these men are really kind of getting with the program. You know, I've been trying to tell them forever, you know, hey, you know, check it out. But they've finally come to their senses. So
now, do you have any idea when you might be fighting next?
No, actually, I don't. You know, I was pretty open about wanting to take some time off after the fight with Julie Kedzie, and I don't have a fight date set yet.
Now, is it? I know you can't say anything too official, but I'm assuming that the UFC's first women's fight is going to be you and Ronda Rousey. Is that what you're kind of possibly expecting?
Well, with all the, you know, mumble jumble about Chris Cyborg, I'm not really sure what is going on with her, whether she's going to go ahead and agree to make the weight or not. But, you know, everybody knows that I would love that rematch with Ronda. I mean, I think that's been apparent since the day we fought, you know. So I would be really happy to do that. I think a great way to, you know, introduce it, maybe a women's tough, you know, if we're talking about bringing in a division and really introducing the fights, I think that would be a great way. And I personally would love to be a coach, you know, and have Ronda be a coach and then maybe set up our fight that way. I think it would be really, really cool.
That would actually be really awesome. But if you did get a rematch with Ronda, I mean, what do you think you would do differently? I mean, having already been in the cage with her, knowing what it feels like to be, you know, to feel her, you know, her takedowns and the way she goes for her arm bars.
Well, I mean, I definitely learned a lot in that fight. You know, I think it's held true for me, at least. Every time that I fought, I've really learned a lot more from my losses than I have from my wins. And I'm not one of those people, whether it's in a fight or in life, you know, when something gets me down, you know, I really try to learn from it. I really try to break it down and say, okay, what did I do wrong? How can I fix it? You know, and pick myself up again, put one foot in front of the other, and just try to make the best of it. So I've really, I really pushed myself to come back so quickly for the Julie Kedzie fight. I mean, if you do the math on how quickly I made a return after such a devastating injury, it was, pretty miraculous if I don't say so myself. I had about 4 months to recover, and then I was in, roughly 2 months of training camp. So I had to be 100% for my training camp. So it was 6 months in between the Ronda fight and the Julie fight, but really only about 4 months of solid recovery, and that was a really bad injury. Choosing not to tap isn't always the smartest thing, but I'm really, really glad that it wasn't more serious and that I was able to recover as well as I did from it. But in a sense, I felt like I kind of missed the boat on some, mental and emotional and I guess healing that I needed to do, and I really need to get in touch with myself as a fighter, break myself down, and I almost felt like even though it was such a short period of time, the layoff, I felt like I had ring rust coming into that fight with Julie Kedzie. We heard GSP the other night, if you watched that fight, talking about, now I know what ring rust is. That was probably the most feeling of ring rust that I had ever had, even though it wasn't a long layoff. I think just being completely out for so long and then spending so much time rehabbing that I just wasn't quite there, and it definitely wasn't my best performance. So I thought, maybe I need to take a step back and reevaluate myself as a fighter and as a person and just kind of try to learn and really, if I want to fight Ronda again and make the best of it, I have to become better for that loss. And so taking the time off, even though, I love to compete and everything, for me has been really nice to just be able to focus on the technique and the things that I think I really need to work on in order to beat her.
So what do you think is a key to beating Ronda? I mean, she's been so dominating against all of her opponents. There's got to be some kind of formula to at least get it into the second round.
For sure, and I think having already been in there with her once, I mean, I did escape one of her arm bars. She went for an armbar attempt, and I was successful in escaping it. And no one can say that, at least not inside MMA. Everyone that she's ever fought, she's armbarred in under a minute. I'm the only one to successfully defend it. I'm the only one to get an advantageous position. I actually took her back for a little bit. We had some great scrambles on the ground. It was a very competitive fight, and I feel it definitely had the edge on the feet. And, it was in the closing seconds of the first round that, she was successful in getting what she's so great at. But in the rest of the fight, I felt fine. I didn't feel outmatched to the point where, I realized I should never be in the cage with Ronda Rousey. It wasn't like that for me, but I lost, and I have to accept that, but I really want to better myself for that. And, as far as the keys to beating her, those are things that I'm working on. What I believe, I don't really want to say it because I don't want, I don't want to getting back to her camp or give it too much game plan away, but just know that I have given it a lot of thought, and I've really tried to break myself down. I've tried to break her down as best as possible. Not only myself, but my boyfriend, Brian Caraway, he's great at that. And we really are just working on that, and, the things that I do need to fix. Obviously, I need better armbar defense. That's one thing.
Sure.
And, just having a little bit better of a game plan. I can say that I need to not go out there with so much emotion. I did go out in the first fight with too much emotion, and I didn't realize that was going to happen until after the bell went off, and I kind of think that I cost myself the fight and just coming out there just a little too overzealous. There was points where I pushed forward hard, and that was good, and there was points where I pushed forward hard, and that was bad, and it caused me to get thrown into a bad position, which led to me losing. So it's a happy balance. I got to find a happy medium in there, and nobody's unbeatable. Ronda definitely has weaknesses, and she has things in her game plans that holes and things like that, and I want to be the one to exploit those. I've been in there with her. I know what she feels like. I know what she does. And even now, having been armbarred by her and having pretty much the worst case scenario that could ever happen with an armbar, me choosing not to tap, if it makes any sense, I respect her armbar almost less now. I have respect for it, but maybe respect's not the right word.
I think you lost the fear of it. Yes.
Because I've already been there, and I know what it's like, and it was, I'm sure, horrific to a lot of people watching it, but for me, it wasn't that bad. I'm like, okay, you know what? That wasn't that bad, and I can become better for that. Like, I can become better for that. I can learn from it, and, you know what I mean? I believe that I can stop that from happening the next time, and I'm not afraid of it.
Now, Miesha, let me ask you this. You said that you didn't want the nerves to play a part in a rematch, but do you think the nerves might be there, maybe not in fighting her, but maybe the atmosphere of being for a UFC title and being the first woman's UFC champ making history?
For sure. You know, nerves is definitely going to be there. I mean, that kind of atmosphere, you know, breaking headway as, you know, one of the first women in the UFC and, you know, the potential of being the first women's fight in the UFC. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot to live up to. But I really feel up for the challenge. You know, I feel like I've been one of the pioneers for women's MMA for a long time, and I've done my best to represent it well. You know, and that would be another great chance to represent it well, and I would welcome it.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. How can our listeners follow what's happening with you?
Well, I actually just launched my website, a new one, so CupcakeTate.com, and it's pretty awesome. And so you guys can definitely check me out there. I've been doing blogs, and I'm actually going to be posting a public response to GSP's comments about women's MMA. So if you guys want to check out what I think, what I have to say about what he thinks. You know, he said that basically women's MMA was fine and dandy, but he has a hard time watching it, and that he actually never has watched it, but he's heard we're pretty good. So, you know, I had a little bit to say about that. GSP is one of my favorite fighters. I love the guy. I think he's great, and what he's been able to do and how he's been able to learn wrestling like he has with no background is just speaks volumes. It's not an easy thing to do, and he's very humble, so I have a lot of respect for the guy, but, you know, I wanted to express my opinion, basically. So if you guys want to check it out and see what I had to say, CupcakeTate.com, and also another great way is on Twitter, just at Miesha Tate. Yeah, and that's about it.
All right. Well, we really appreciate that. We want to just say thank you for joining us tonight, and we wish you the best of success in the future, and we're hoping that this all this information gets nailed down quick, and they set a date for a fight, and we'd love to see you in the UFC.
Oh, for sure. Well, thank you for your support, and, you know, thanks for having me on the show.
Well, thank you again. That was Miesha Tate.